morning, everybody. Welcome to a Monday live stream here at the Jayda InStitches show. The little peepers have started. The little frogs in the local ponds have finally started their little peep 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 song. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to introduce you all to our little 6-inch Froggy square. Our little Froggy is look how happy he is. He's happy because he's made out of scraps. It doesn't take very much to make one of these squares. A couple weeks ago, we did our little 6-inch granny with the little flower. So this is another one in our little 6-inch granny series. And we thought we would do the little peeper today. So Nico, thank you for gifting a membership. Nico getting things started off on a very happy and generous foot. Thank you, thank you. Congratulations, Linda. Linda's won it. Welcome to the family, Linda. And yeah, we're going to make this little guy today. So if you want to make a little Froggy square along with me or make several, I'm going to talk about some tips and tricks for making these a little more efficiently and a little quicker as we go today. Per square, you need around 15 yards of green, and that includes his face and his eyes. About 10 yards of blue, and that would be the background color, so whatever color you want to make that. And maybe some white, about 6 yards of the white, just for the background, the little border. You also this is the border and includes that little bit of white in his eyes. If you were going to do the border a different color or the same color as the background, just you need about 6 extra yards for that. And a small amount of pink, black, red, very, very small amounts, like a couple yards or less each. That's per square. So if you're going to make a whole bunch, then, just have a bunch of yarn on hand. I'm trying to give slightly more or a little bit more than I think you'll need, just because our tension all varies a little bit, but you get the idea. Once you make one, you'll know roughly how much you use, and you can sort of put that in your head for any more that you make. Okay, I haven't decided which green I'm going to use. This is a lovely spring green by Red Heart. It's their Super Saver Spring Green. I need more in my stash. I don't have any right now. So I've got 3 different greens here that I'm going to pick one to make his little face and eyes out of today. I haven't decided which, but the rest is more or less the same. I'm going to do the same blue, the same white, and the same sort of little details for his eyes and his mouth. Hello, Joanna. Joanna's been a member for 35 months with a membership milestone. Thank you, Joanna. Says, hi, Jayda. Love the Froggy. But do you have a pattern for an amigurumi Froggy? Actually, I do. You guys haven't seen it yet because it's he hasn't hopped his way onto the camera, but I do have an amigurumi frog pattern. He's sort of similar to our little chibi chubby tubbies, but I will introduce him a little later on this month because it's the spring and I've got frogs on the brain. So yes, I will have a frog amigurumi pattern for you very soon. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for asking, Joanna. Today's sneaky sale is our little 6-inch Froggy pattern. You can pick that up in the Etsy shop, link in the description and also up in the top of the live chat there if you're interested. And thank you so much for supporting the show if you do. You need a pair of scissors, yarn needle, all the yarn I described. This is all size 4 medium weight acrylic, but you can use cotton, wool, whatever it is you want. If you're thinking baby blanket, then, soft acrylic or cotton is great. And a 5.5 millimeter hook, also known as an I or a 9. But, it's a granny square. So if you change the weight category of the yarn and the hook size, it'll either size up or down, but you don't have to do anything to the pattern to change it. So as it is with this hook and this style yarn, it's about 6 inches. All right, let's get into it. I love a cute granny and I love a cute frog. First off, we start with the green, and I haven't decided what green I'm going to use. So here are my options and I'll explain them to you. This is a size 4 medium weight. It's a good size 4, but it's not as green as I would want it to be for the frog. These are closer, but this is sort of a size 3, and honestly, this one is too, so they're a little bit more lightweight. I considered blending a couple together, but then I thought it's too small of a little face for that kind of blending of yarn. So I didn't really want to do that, especially since we're adding details like a mouth and eyes. So I thought I would leave it to you guys. Light, medium, or dark? Which green am I going to use? I like this one the most, I'll be honest, but it's the thinnest, so it might look a little thin. For context, I used it in the background of this square. So that's the green. I used it last time, and that's how it compares. If you can see the thickness of the stitches. That's a size 4, that's a size 3, same hook, same pattern. Nico. Nico with a membership milestone. Nico's always very silent. She never sort of says anything, but she just zips in to say, hey, I'm here. So thank you, Nico. Nico's been a member for 27 months. Thank you, Nico. Thank you so much. Okay. So light, Amanda says light green. And just to give you so again, that's a size 3. This is a size 4. Not a huge difference. So I'm pretty good at sort of varying my tension as I work, but that's the difference. It'll be a little bit skinnier. Not a big deal. This is the light, this is the medium, this is the dark. Nico with the in the background. I'm having a little sip of my water here. So what do you guys think? Light, medium, dark? I think, I mean, any one of them would be fine. This would make a cute frog. This would make a very green frog. This would make a very light green frog. They are all pretty fine. Medium, medium. The green in the middle, says Barb. The middle one. Honestly, Nico, they're all fine. They're all easy. Like that's a true weight, but it doesn't matter to me really. The light one, the dark one looks like a toad, says Kaylin. Yes, it does. This could be the toad. This could be Mr. Frog's toad friend here. Medium, 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 light. All right, looks like the middle's won it. So let's jump in without any further ado. I'm going to grab, shall I grab the middle? Yes, I will. So this is a lighter weight yarn, but doesn't matter to me. I'm going to continue to use the same hook. But like I say, this is a size 4, the one I originally used. This is a size 3, but it's okay. And for demonstration purposes, doesn't change the pattern. So we're going to start with a cinch circle. Any of you who have done any of our fancy grannies that start with circles will be familiar with that pattern. So little circle, we wrap the yarn around our fingers, we get that little fish, put our hook through the center, grab the yarn and chain 1. That will secure the circle. And we're going to start with double crochet. So chain 2 more, that chain 3 will count as a double crochet for the first row. 11 double crochet into the circle over top of the short tail. And that will be 12 stitches at the end of row 1. And there we go. That should be 12. We count them up. There's the chain 3. It counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Once you have 12, grab the short tail, cinch it up nice and tight. Whoops, try not to yank your hook out. There we go. I can pull a little tighter than I thought I could. And then you're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to close the row. And I'm going to work over top of my short tail. You don't have to. You can leave it out to the back. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. A little sip of my water here. All right. Row 2. Row 2, we want to double up our stitch counts. We're going to chain 3 to begin. Now, for rows 2 and 3, the chain 3 doesn't count as a double crochet. We'll be skipping it, but I'll get to that when we get back around to it. In the meantime, let's double crochet once more into the same place that we just chained 3 out of. And now double crochet 2 times in each stitch all the way around. So 2 double crochet per stitch. And that will double us up from 12 to 24. Nico likes the eyes on the frog. Yeah, he's very, I see a couple people mentioning Kermit, a couple other people, there's that sort of that Sanrio, I can't remember the name of the Sanrio frog, the friend of Hello Kitty, but he's kind of got that look too. I mean, if you if you're going to cartoonify a frog, basically you're looking at the same features. Big eyes, maybe like a wide mouth. They all kind of end up looking a little bit similar, but that's a frog for you. So 2 double crochet in each stitch all the way around. And I'm trying to be a little relaxed with my tension because I am using a slightly lighter weight yarn. This will shape up to be slightly smaller than the other one, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so that's 2 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. That brings us back to the false stitch. I'm going to grab my little stitch my needle here. The false stitch, this thing, is actually the slip stitch that joined the previous row. It's not technically a stitch, but sometimes we use it, especially when you're making a round circle. I find it helps to close the circle in. So we double crochet once into that stitch. It sits at the bottom of the chain 3. That negates the need for the chain 3 to be used as a stitch. So we jump over top of the chain 3 and join with a slip stitch to the top of the first actual double crochet. And now you have a nice round circle with no gaps and 24 stitches, all double crochet. And that's, if I flip this over, that's where it stands. So it's just a hair smaller so far than the original, so that's not a bad thing. And we want to do one more row of green for his cute little head. So we're going to chain 3. The chain 3 will not count as a double crochet. We're going to use the same trick. But before we do that, we're going to double crochet in the same stitches joining. Double crochet into the next stitch, only once. And now we're going to do a little increase pattern all the way around. 2 double crochet in the next stitch. And double crochet once into the stitch after that. So 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet all the way around. And we're increasing from 24 stitches to 36 at the end of row 3. Welcome, welcome everybody tuning in from all over the place. I love it. We are surrounded by these little peeping frogs right now. I love it at night. You open the windows and all you hear is a symphony of beep, 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 beep. It's just so darn cute. I'm sure they don't think themselves cute, but it sure sounds cute to me. So nice to see so many of you here. Two double crochet, followed by 1 double crochet, followed by 2 double crochet, followed by 1 double crochet, all the way around. Your basic increase pattern. Now, did I miss, I do this sometimes when I'm chit-chatting and I am trying to pay attention to the chat and what I'm saying and also to my pattern as I go. Nope, looks like I'm doing all right so far. One more. And then 1 into the next stitch. And then 2 double crochet. And we're going to finish off with a double crochet in the top of the false stitch. You should have 36 stitches. Something tells me that I might be off by 1 or 2, but let me see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8. Is that what I did? 1, 2, 2, 1. No, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Yes, I am off. Now, why am I off? I must have added an extra one in somewhere, but where? Yeah, ultimately I want 36. This is the second time I've done this. This is so funny. I wonder why. I wonder, did I add an extra one on the previous? No. Well, I'm just going to cheat. So I want 36 stitches. And if I want 36 stitches, then I will get 36 stitches. So I'm not counting this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So I can put in one more increase. So that's just keeping with the pattern. There we go. And then I'm going to increase, I'm not going to increase any longer. So what you would normally do is you would end up with your last double crochet in the last stitch. You'd be left with the false stitch. You still want to double crochet into that. And you're skipping the chain 3. You're not counting that as a stitch. So somehow, somewhere, I had an extra stitch. Doesn't matter. I've gone back, counted, and I've made sure now that I have 36. And I just did that by leaving out an extra increase towards the end of my row. Once again, these are the handy little tricks. It hasn't interrupted my the roundness of my circle. I have exactly 36 stitches, which is what I want. That's going to make the rest of the square work. I may have added an extra stitch in somewhere. Who knows? Who cares? The whole point is at the end of this row, I have 36 stitches and you have 36 stitches. That's what we want. Sip of my little water here. And there we go. That's it. You can fasten off. So make sure you've got 36 stitches. Cheat one in or cheat one out if you need to. You shouldn't have to if you had the right. If you had 12 and then you had 24, you should have 36. You following that pattern because the math does work. So I've obviously added a stitch in somewhere or used one twice, but doesn't matter. That's how you fix it. And you'd never know. And anybody looking at this down the road will never know. And the last thing I am these days is a perfectionist. So I'm going to weave my tail in right now before I get going any further, just so it's out of the way. There we go. So I've got a nice perfect square, or circle. I have a circle. Perfect circle. I do not need this green for a while. I'm going to put it aside. Now I want to move on to my background color. So we build the background by 2 rows. There's a row you can't see, and then there's a row of Granny's shell stitch that you can see. So grab your background color. I'm using blue. Welcome, welcome everybody. I see a lot of you like the frog. I'm so happy to hear that. The pattern for this little dude is in our Etsy shop. If you're interested, it's on sneaky sale today. So please feel free to pop over using either the links in the description box or up on the top of the live chat and pick up a copy for yourself if you're so inclined. We're going to use a back loop only method for row 4. So for row 4, we're going to join our blue and we're going to basically square up the circle before we add our little row of granny shell stitch. So you can join your yarn with a slip stitch anywhere you want. I'm going to have a quick sip of my water. Nala and Simba are here. Hello, members for 20 months. Thank you so much. With a membership milestone. Nala says, I'm so glad to catch the live. I just had a job interview and now I'm relaxing watching you. Such a cute frog. Thank you and congratulations. I hope that goes well for you. Job interviews can be so exciting and so nerve-wracking. Well done. Just getting the interview sometimes feels like a total win. That's awesome. We're going to join our yarn with a back loop only slip stitch. So any stitch you want along row 3. Back loop is always the loop of the stitch that's furthest from you. Join with a slip stitch. Don't worry about the loop pulling up. That's okay. And we're going to chain 3. Skip 2 stitches, back loop only, slip stitch into the next stitch. Chain 3, skip 2 stitches, back loop only, slip stitch into the next stitch, and so on. Chain 3, skip 2 stitches and back loop only, slip stitch into the next stitch. So you're chaining 3, skipping 2 stitches, and back loop only slip stitching into the next stitch. And the reason we're doing that is so that we have an unbroken line of front loops all the way around, so that he doesn't end up with a blotchy or a funny sort of spotty circle to his face. We don't want to interrupt the line of his face. So chain 3, skip 2, back loop only, slip stitch into the next stitch. Caroline says that she's always felt anxious at interviews. I think it's very normal to feel anxious at interviews. I mean, an interview is also, you're kind of meeting somebody for the first time. And if you're, it's a weird power dynamic. You're the one hoping to get a job. The person interviewing you is the person with the power to hire you. So there's that kind of weird dynamic. Plus you're meeting somebody new for the first time often, which is also kind of uncomfortable. When you get all the way back around to the beginning, you're going to chain 3, skip 2. Remember, there's always your false stitch, so you want to skip that. And then you're going to join with a slip stitch in the same place that you joined your yarn. So skip the last 2 stitches, including the false stitch. We don't need to worry about that. Join with a slip stitch in the same place that you joined your yarn, and then slip stitch immediately into that chain 3 space. So what you've got is 12 chain 3 spaces all the way around. And it should, if you lay it flat, it should just nicely edge your circle. and you will see an unbroken line of green. And that's because we use the back loop only method. Goodness gracious, Joya! Thank you for popping into the shop and picking up our little froggy pattern. Thank you, Joya. Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. Oh, but not before I say hi to Bethany. Bethany B! Bethany B's in the chat with a membership milestone. Bethany's been a member for 74 months. Thank you, Bethany. Bethany says, it's May already. I know, right? It's raining in the desert today. Oh, that must be beautiful, which means possible crochet day. Been a bit since I have caught you live. Love you guys. Happy early Mother's Day to all the crafting moms. That's a great thing to say. Yes, happy early Mother's Day. It was raining here all day yesterday. It was foggy. It was beautiful. And this morning I can see the leaves starting to kind of uncurl themselves from the little buds on the trees. So things will start to look green around here very soon. I'm very excited about that. And here we go. So we're on to row 5. In row 5, we square it up. We do the familiar granny shell stitch row. So you've slip stitched into the chain 3 space that's right next to where you joined. Chain 3, this chain 3 will count as a double crochet. 2 more double crochets into the chain 3 space. And we're going to start with a corner. Chain 2 and 3 more double crochet into the same space. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. It's your classic granny corner. Chain 1 before you leave. We're going to use the chain 1s as a spacer. So this little froggy square is built to match this little flower square. All of the little granny squares in our 6-inch mini granny series all kind of are built to be similar to each other and work in the same way that, like, if you wanted to put them all into a blanket, which I kind of have in the back of my head. And we're going to be adding more to this series because I think they're adorable. Into the next chain 3 space, 3 double crochet and chain 1. And you can work a 3 double crochet, chain 1 into the next chain 3 space as well. Nico has started volunteering at the library. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Awesome. I love the local libraries are magical places, man. Not only are they full of books, but there's usually something interesting going on. Like there's little like community get-togethers or meetings or like crochet clubs or anything like that. You can meet people at the library. You never thought you would, but libraries are a great place to hang out. Into the next chain 3 space, we're going to work a corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and chain 1 before you leave. And that's what we're doing all the way around. So it's 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1, corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1, all in the same place. 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1, and then a corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1, and so on. So that's 3 double crochet, chain 1 twice. And now I'm into another corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1. That gives me a corner. I agree, Colleen. Books and crochet, heaven. I seriously do need more hours in a day. 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1. And that brings us up to our last corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1 into the same place. You'll have 4 corners, obviously, because we're making a square. And eventually we'll have 4 sides. Chain 1, and then you've got 2 chain 3 spaces left. That's why it was important for us to have 36 stitches all the way around the last row. Or I should say around row 3, and then it's 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1 to finish. And that gives us that very familiar granny shell stitch row. And then we will square it up. 3 double crochet, chain 1 to finish, find the top of the chain 3, join with a slip stitch, and you can fasten off. Now, if you're gonna make your border row, and the only reason you need this border row is to bring it up to 6 inches, and or to give it that nice little frame. I like this little frame. That's why I've done it in white and I've given it a row of single crochet. You can do it in blue if you wanted, or the same color as your background, in which case you don't fasten off, you just stay where you are, chain 1 single crochet in the same place, and then start single crocheting in every single stitch in space until you get to a corner. Otherwise, you can fasten off like me, because I'm going to switch to white for this. And I'm just going to weave it through these stitches and bring it to the corner so I can work over top of it. At this point, I love to get my fingers in the 4 corners and pull it out. This is another reason why you don't worry about those loops kind of pulling, because this allows us to give our square a perfect squaring, and it keeps that circular shape in the middle. And this just, I always love this part. Just see that circle looking in a square. Excuse me. A little bit of water here. All right, time to grab my white. I'm going to finish the square first, and then we're going to move on to the little facial features of our cheerful little froggy here. I kind of like that medium green. This was my favorite. It's very cartoony, but this is a very nice green too. Nico, busy. It's all about books, crochet, and ninja gifting. Thank you, Nico. Nico has given us another gifted membership, and Grandma LM has won it. Congratulations and welcome to the family, Grandma. Thank you, Nico. We're going to take our white or whatever color you're using for your little border, make a slip knot. This is row 6. I recommend joining your yarn in a corner space. I just like that better, but if you didn't fasten off, you're right here. Chain 1 single crochet in the same place, single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then you'll be in a corner too. You can join with a slip stitch chain 1 or join with a single crochet. I'm going to join with a single crochet. Why not? Single crochet once more into that circle, or I should say that space, chain 2, and then single crochet twice more. So the corners always get 2 single crochet, chain 2, 2 single crochet. So that makes a little corner. When you're leaving a corner, pull back. There's a stitch right here, and the top of it can sometimes be covered up by your last couple of stitches, so you don't want to miss it. Single crochet into each stitch, and there's always 3 in a row. And then single crochet into each chain 1 space. And I'm just going right into the space. I'm not trying to grab the stitch. Single crochet in each stitch. Single crochet in the space. Single crochet in each stitch and space all the way across to the next chain 2 corner. And when you get to the corner space, 2 single crochet, chain 2, 2 single crochet. And then you start it all over again. Make sure you pull back a little bit because you don't want to miss that first stitch. Single crochet into it, single crochet into each stitch across. Make sure you get the spaces too. And then when you get to a corner, it's 2 single crochet, chain 2, 2 single crochet. And that's just your simple little single crochet border. And it's a nice way to just add a little frame. So just a small framing to a small granny square. And it brings it up to the 6-inch mark. Now, if 6 inches is what you're really concerned about, then like I said, 5.5mm hook for weight yarn, a medium weight yarn. And this little extra row will bring it up to about 6 inches. If it doesn't matter, because you're just making a whole bunch of these squares and it doesn't really matter what size they are, or you want to make them a little bigger, heavier weight yarn, bigger hook works. If you want to make them smaller or more delicate, lighter weight yarn like a DK or size 3 weight, and a smaller hook, you could use a 5mm or 4.5mm, whatever works best for you and your tension. You can change the weight of the yarn, you can change the size of your hook. It will affect the size of the square, but ultimately if all your squares are made the same, it doesn't matter. And remember, if you are trying to make a blanket that is very specific dimensions, there is always the border. If you're adding a border, you can always add a wider border or a skinnier border just to kind of bring it up to the size dimensions you want. So that's a nice little trick too. Single crochet in every single stitch and space all the way back to the first corner that you joined your yarn in. Join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet and fasten off. I'm going to weave in my tails. And I'm taking care to weave that tail in underneath the same colored yarn as the tail. It just helps it disappear a little bit better. And I don't want to pull anything out of alignment. And then I double back and I go back through the same places. A lot of people like the frog. I'm so glad to hear that. It is cute. Frogs are adorable. But like I say, right now we're surrounded by the peepers, the little frogs making their annual peep, 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 peep noise from our local water bodies. And I just love it. It's my favorite sound of the spring. I love the birds, but there's just something magical about the little peepers singing all night long that I just love. All right, so there is our square. Take a moment, kind of pull out those corners. And now we can start making his little features. So we're going to start with his eyes. The eyes have a pupil, a black pupil in the middle. I've already made one, so you can sort of see how it starts. I'm going to make it with a different color though, so that you can see what I'm doing. Excuse me. Because black is kind of difficult to see. So I'm going to do one in demonstration, and then I'll make the other one actually in black, so that you can sort of see what I'm doing. And let's see, what's a good color to do that with? I'll just use this other green here. I think you guys can see what I'm doing with green. Krista's in the chat. Hey, Krista. All right, we're going to take our yarn. Now, imagine this is black. If you're making the eye, you want to start with black because it's the pupil. We're going to make a little cinch circle. So I like to wind it around my finger and then chain one. So you've got a very small little cinch circle. If you have struggle making a small cinch circle, just to make a regular cinch circle, it's okay. And then you're going to single crochet 3 times into it. So only 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. Cinch it up nice and tight. Reach around to that first single crochet you made and join with a slip stitch. So that is like super small. You'll have your join, you'll have basically what looks like 4 stitches all the way around. So your first 3 single crochets and then the slip stitch to join. And we're going to use all 4 of those stitches. So you should count 1, 2, 3, 4. Your 3 single crochets plus that slip stitch to join. That's what you're looking at. Fasten off. And I'm going to leave the tails out because it's much easier to work on something this small without fiddling with the tails as well. And I'm going to do it again, but in black. So that's the pupil. And since you've got to make 2 eyes, do it twice. So cinch circle, nice and small, chain 1, 3 single crochet into that circle. Like I said, I'm using the black. That's why I did it in green so you could actually see it. 1, 2, 3, cinch it up nice and tight and reach around, find that first single crochet and join with a slip stitch. Hello, Dawn. Dawn with a membership milestone. Dawn is in the chat. Dawn has been a member for 77 months. Thank you, Dawn. Dawn says happy May and lots of crochet for everyone. I love that. I love that. Happy May indeed. I can't believe it's May the 5th. It's Cinco de Mayo today. So if anybody is celebrating that, I hope it's a fun day for you. Okay, so you've got 2 pupils. Again, this is the one that I've already made. I just demonstrated that with green so you can see what I'm doing. But make 2 pupils because you're going to actually put a white around them before we green them up. So grab your white yarn. Excuse me. I'll get this green out of the way. I'm going to demonstrate on the green one so you can see what I'm doing. Put a slip knot on your hook. Now you want to join your white yarn with a slip stitch in the same stitch that you fastened off your yarn with. So in my little demonstration one, you see where the fasten off is, the little knot. In that same stitch, which is the first single crochet you made, you're going to join with a slip stitch. But you can get all those tails out of the way. You don't have to work over top of them. Join with a slip stitch. Do not worry about your tails. There's just too small an area to worry about. Chain 1. We're going to work 2 half double crochet in each of those stitches. So the same place we joined, 2 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then in that false stitch or the slip stitch from the close, we're going to put 2 half double crochet in there too. So 8 half double crochet all together. 2 half double crochet in the same stitch that you joined your yarn in. 2 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And 2 half double crochet in the slip stitch that you joined the previous row with. So you should have 8 half double crochet all the way around. Find the first half double crochet you made and join with a slip stitch. Just make sure my tail isn't caught there. And that gives you your eye. And you should have what looks like 4 little points. And that's just what you get from working the half double crochets all the way around. So that's how you make the eye. It will look like this. I'm going to take this out now and I'm going to put it around the black one. So once again, slip knot on hook, join yarn in the same place that you joined the previous row. So there's my fastened off knot. I'm not worrying about any of those little short tails. Join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and 2 half double crochet in the same place. Again, I'm not working over any tails. I'm not really bothering with that right now because it's just too small an area. Two half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Again, I'm doing this on the actual black pupil that I'm going to be using. And then there's a slip stitch from the previous row, 2 half double crochets into that, also known as the false stitch. Make sure you don't catch any of your little tails, pull them all to the back and join with a slip stitch to the first actual single crochet that you made. There we go. And you should have what looks like 4 little points. That's kind of what gives it that slight Kermit the Frog sort of look. And you can fasten off. You don't need to leave much tail. You can work over top of your tails. Now for this 3rd row, you want to make 2. I like to do them both at the same time. If you're making multiple squares, and I kind of talked about this a little bit when we did our miniature, or I should say our little 6-inch flower a couple weeks ago, I like to make all the middles. And then like if I'm traveling, it's a nice little modular project to bring with me. I just need 1 ball of yarn, my 1 hook, and then I just make all the centers. So if I'm making a whole bunch of frogs, maybe I want to make a whole bunch of different colored green frogs. Like I'm just starting to realize that a whole bunch of frogs in different shades of green would look so cute. But you can take 1 ball of yarn with you if you're going to make them all the same color and just make all the circles. So the first 3 rows is that circle. Make a whole bunch of your circles. Then square them all up. Add your rows 4 and 5, your squaring rows, to all those circles. Again, you only need 1 ball of yarn if you're taking it with you. Then same thing, add that final little border row to them all. So you can sort of work on them all in stages. You know, you only have to work with 1 color or 1 ball of yarn at a time. Then make a whole bunch of eyes. There's 2 per square if you're making multiple froggies. So make a whole bunch of pupils, then give them all the whites of the eye. And then you can grab the green yarn and make the final row. So each of the eyes is 3 rows. There's the little pupil, there's the white part, and then there's the green part. So I'm going to do the green part now, which is easier to see on the white. You want to use the same green that you used for the main frog head. And We're going to join our yarn with a slip stitch in the same stitch where we fastened off. So right here, you can work over top of that previous tail and the short tail now if you want, or just again, leave everything to the back for later. I think I will work over top of these tails. I'm not worrying about so much the black ones from the first row. There we go. So join with a slip stitch. We are still using the half double crochet stitch. So we chain 1, half double crochet in the same place that you just joined. And half double crochet in the next stitch. So join, chain 1, half double crochet in the same place, half double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to do a little repeater, 2 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 2, 1, 2, 1. So it's that very familiar little increase, 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, half double crochet in the stitch after that, and repeat. And if your eye wants to curl in or poof out, it's all right. Don't worry about it. We're going to deal with that in a moment. So it's 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around. That will leave you back at the false stitch or the slip stitch from the previous row. You're going to half double crochet into that stitch. And then you're going to join with a slip stitch to the first half double crochet you made. And you're going to leave a long tail for sewing because we have to sew our eyes to our little frog. You don't need too much. But, you know, if you're ever in doubt, 10 to 12 inches or around 25 to 30 centimeters should be enough. Then I like to sort of take it and pull it out a little bit. I'm shaping it into a circle. I'm also helping to flatten that centerpiece. And I'm not too worried about the little tails. I'm going to leave them back there because they're going to be stitched down. But if they were worrying you or you thought they were going to drive you crazy or they were going to pop out, you can just take a moment and tack them underneath some of the stitches. Doesn't matter what color. I'm going to grab all 3 at once. Let me do this instead. Another reason I love these wool needles. There we go. And trim. Trim the excess. Careful not to clip my stitches. There we go. And that's one eye finished. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this guy. So grab my green. Join with a slip stitch in the same place that I fastened off the previous row. Right underneath that knot, I'm going to join over top of that white tail. There we go. Chain 1 and half double crochet in the same place. Good way to start. Half double crochet once into the stitch next to that, and then you start your little increase pattern of half double crochet twice into the next stitch, half double crochet once into the stitch after that. Repeat. 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around. And then you'll be back to the slip stitch that finished the previous row, half double crochet once into that, join with a slip stitch to the top of the first real half double crochet you made, and you'll have 12 stitches at the end of row 3. Again, leave yourself enough tail for sewing, fasten off, maybe tack those longer little short tails at the back in under a couple of stitches, trim any excess. I'm going to get them under a few different stitches here. and trim any excess. Hello, Ms. Rabbit. Jessica Rabbit is in the house. A member for 41 months. Thank you, Jessica. With the membership milestone, Ms. Rabbit says, good morning. Better late than never. I hear that. Disagree, especially if it's a Jayda day. Currently working on a BBB. You can never have too many baskets. I agree. Big, beautiful baskets adorn this house, and I'm always looking for another one. But the second I make it, it gets filled up with something, and I need another one. So I'll probably be making a few more of those. It's actually a nice closet cleaning or spring cleaning or whenever the time of the year is cleaning. If you do a big clean out of your craft room and you kind of assemble a bunch of yarns that you're like, okay, these have been in the stash long enough. I don't know what to do with them. They are mismatched. I'm not using any more of this color. This one's discontinued, whatever. Just ram them all together and make a big, beautiful basket. It is the more colors you cram into one of those things, the better. They always end up looking beautiful, like a scrap rug. And they're so handy. I love them. I love the big, beautiful basket. I make them in all different sizes, but the bigger the better. All right, we've got 2 eyes now. He's got already, there's a little character kind of popping out here. Gonna have a sip of my water. I like to sort of sew on the pieces after I've got them all done. So I'm gonna put my green aside. Now we're gonna make his little mouth and his cheeks. Very simple. The mouth is super simple. You barely need much yarn for that. I'm gonna grab the red. Make a slip knot and chain 7 and fasten off. Leave yourself a little tail for sewing. Same thing, 25 centimeters or 30 centimeters or 10 to 12 inches. That's it. That's all you need for the mouth. Put that aside. Actually, just put it right here. Bing. And now a couple of cheeks. So I'm going to grab my pink. I have a small amount of pink left. I think I should be able to do it with this. Let's find out. We're going to make 2 cheeks. We're going to start with a small cinch circle. Make it as small as you can. Chain 1 to secure your cinch circle and work 6 single crochet into that circle. Once you have 6 single crochet, grab the short tail, pull it nice and tight, join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet you made. Fasten off, leave a long tail for sewing. Same thing, like 10 inches, 12 inches. Should be more than enough, given the size of this little thing. And then make another one identical. You can weave the little tail in on the back if you want. I try to like weave in little tails a little bit before I actually trim any excess, especially on something this small, because I don't want it to be bulging out on me. So I just run them under the stitches on the back, like all the way around, let's say, once, and then I trim what's left. There we go. Careful not to snip my actual stitches. Trim up that short tail. There's one little cheek which will sit on the edge like that, and I want to make another one absolutely identical. So little cinch circle, chain 1, 6 single crochet into the circle, cinch up that little tiny circle and join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Thank you, Jennifer. So happy so many of you think these little guys are cute. I think they're adorable. They're such a cute little square for a little whatever, a little purse, a little blanket, a little tiny pillow, maybe a bigger pillow. Maybe you can use them in conjunction with some of the other little squares in this series to make a really cute purse or a really cute market bag, in which case I would recommend wool or cotton. Leave a long tail for sewing, fasten off, and weave in that little tail. I love grannies for that very purpose. There's so many projects you can make out of them, and granny squares look like all kinds of things. Granny square is kind of an all-encompassing term for that which is square, a square little motif that you can then turn into other things. It's always good to have a stack of them in the stash because you never know when you might need a couple. I'm going to go into that one too, and then I will fasten off, or I should say I will trim the tail, and then we can start stitching everything down, and we're almost done. There we go. Want to make sure that I don't actually cut my stitches. There we go. I've been using child safety scissors a lot lately. I love them. Not only are they enough to cut my yarn, but they're easy for me to get my fingers in. I don't hurt myself, and because the edges are blunted, I'm less likely to snip my stitches too when I'm doing like little tail cutting. So I really like using those. All right, let's stitch everything down. I'm going to start with the eyes because they're the two biggest thing, and everything can kind of, it's pretty easy to do the other little bits and pieces. So what you want to do is make sure that your eyes are mostly up top. You can sort of see how I did this one. They meet in the middle, which is what kind of makes them look cute. And they pop up above the top edge of the head a little bit. Little sip. You can leave them there, pin one into place if you feel they need to be pinned into place. I like to just sort of hold them as I work, especially the one that I'm working on. I'll leave the other one there. And then it's that thing I like to do where you grab, so you look down right underneath where the edge of that little applique piece is. You look for the top facing loop of the square beneath you, and you run your needle through that and then back through that stitch. And the first stitch is always like, I always want to make sure I get that one down and I get it down well. And that nothing moves on me. That looks good. And I'll get that out of the way now. And I'm going to hold it. Let's see if I can get this a little closer. I always pause frequently to make sure that things aren't moving. I do a few stitches and then I pause. I put it down, make sure it hasn't moved. Does this still look even? Yep. Okay. And then I go back to it. I grab a loop as close to beneath that stitch as I can, and then I just keep going. Do a couple more, and the more you stitch it down, the less it's going to move. But for the first little while, even like halfway around, I always just pause to make sure that it's not moving on me. It still looks even. Yep. There's a loop there. And there's a loop there. Yep, okay. And then, let's see if I can finish the rest of it just from working flat on the work surface. I always sort of peel back the edge. I look for a loop on the beneath me, and then that's what I grab. Now, if you feel like you need a little bit of leverage, you can always stitch through the same stitch once or twice. That's perfectly fine. Sharon, thank you so much for picking up our little froggy pattern. It is on sneaky sale in the shop today. So if you feel like grabbing a copy, please feel free to do so. It's on sale all day today. And thank you so much for supporting the show. If you get to a space and there's like you want to put a stitch right beneath you, just move to the very next little spot and don't pull tightly. Do not stitch tightly and it'll work just fine. There we go. All right. So square it up, flatten the eye. That's going to be just fine. And before I knot off, I always go around and make sure that everything looks right. It looks like I've got one of my little, my tail that I worked over is working itself out. So I'm going to take a second to like poke it down and underneath some of the stitches. And then right out the back. There we go. There we go. So eye number 1, eye number 2. All right, then you want to knot it off on the side, weave it in a little bit just so it doesn't want to come undone. I always make a little knot. I try to make it as tight as possible. There we go. And then slip it underneath and weave it in through the same colored stitches. I might even weave it down into the head. There we go. And I'm going to weave it right, I'm going to continue right into the body or the head of this, the main part of the square here, because why not? Christine, thank you. Thank you so much for picking up the pattern. I hope it brings you some amusement. It's one of the reasons I love these cute little things. I'm smiling the whole time I do this because they look so cute. I love cute stuff. All right, that is where number 2 is going to go, and I just do the same thing. Hold it in place, look underneath, grab a loop of the square, come back through the stitch next to it. Do not pull too tightly. And then I want to make sure that I'm not sewing too tightly because my the tops of my stitches are kind of wide, so I want them to kind of have room to move. I want the square to be able to move. And then I just keep checking to make sure that it hasn't shifted on me. Nico, for heaven's sakes. Thank you, Nico. Where's my big sign? Okay, here is a sign. Thank you, Nico. Thank you to the family members for the super chats, or I should say the membership milestones. And thank you to everybody who's picked up a copy of the pattern at the shop. Thank you. This is a little sign that Mr. InStitches made. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And while I'm at it, here's his other cute little sign. Today's little pattern is on sneaky sale in our Etsy shop, link in description. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Nico, for gifting a membership. Congratulations to Tiffany Lee, who has won it. Welcome back to the family. Thank you. So I want to make sure it's not moving on me. And then I also like to try to always have my hands at the same position when I'm sewing. So I actually move the square a lot, which is a lot easier to do when it's a small square, like this little one. And like I said, if you want to use the same stitch twice when you're sewing around, you can do that if you feel like it just needs a little something extra. And I want to make sure this doesn't move on me. I square it up again. And right there. Okay, eyes kind of meet in the middle. Judy's asking about the needle. These are wool needles. I absolutely adore them. Let me grab the packages. I've got a couple of them. So my first package of wool needles, they usually look a little neater than this. This one's, I've kind of crammed them all back in here again. So there's a little package. This set is a newer set. It's the Love Knitting, but it's still HA Kid. Walmart sells them. At least they do here in Canada. This is HA Kid, the actual original company that makes them. These are both HA Kid, but this is HA Kid for Walmart. This is the original package of the original 3. This is one of the original 3. They're all kind of all over the place right now. I got these 30 years ago, maybe 35 years ago, no joke, in a the craft section of a department store. They're generally sold anywhere that people sell yarn and sewing and or I should say crochet and knitting supplies. They're almost always sold in sets of 3. Amazon carries Pony, which is a manufacturer who makes aluminum versions. These are aluminum too, but they're pretty colors. And Love Knitting, HA Kid. I've also seen Knit Picks makes a set. I don't know if Arrow makes them anymore, but so a lot of people who make knitting needles and crochet hooks also make the wool needles. And it's just, they're the loop-eyed needles. They come in 3 different sizes typically. And yeah, my most recent set came from Walmart. But I'm still using the set that I got 35 odd years ago. So if you can get if you can get the HA Kid ones, I think HA Kid it might be Canadian. I know that they're based in Toronto. I'm not sponsored by them, but boy, would I love a sponsorship from HA Kid. But they're the best. They're the best. I've used several, and they're all good. But I mean, 35 years and they haven't broken. I mean, come on. So that's why I grabbed another set when I found them. And I crochet like, I mean, you know, when I'm at my, when I'm really moving along, I crochet every day. So I'm always using them. And yes, Jessica Rabbit is right. If you're on Amazon or anywhere else where you do your shopping, search for wool needles and they should pop right up. Ms. Rabbit has Pony set and they're over 10 years old. Yep. Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, like, especially if they're aluminum, because aluminum makes, like, aluminum is a nice strong, and it's a small, it's small. I mean, you're not going to be as hard on it as you would be with a crochet hook. You're only using them sort of for fine work. So they shouldn't break. It's the loop that I would always be worried about. That little plastic loop, you can sort of see it there, anchored in the top of it. That's the thing I would worry about. I finally didn't pull one out, but snapped it on the little one I had for my first ever set. I finally snapped it like a couple years ago, and that was after literally 30 years of exclusively using that one needle. I didn't even use the other 2 in the set. This is the middle one from the first set, and I'm using that one now. So yeah, highly recommend. And they're comfortable. They're easy to thread up. Joanna got hers from Walmart. Yeah. So I found one at a set in a regular old like department store years ago. Got the second set from Walmart. It's also HA Kid, but I've seen them on Amazon, and I'm sure anywhere else that sells like knitting needles and crochet hooks and stuff, they should sell them too. Because they're, I mean, look at them, they're great. I think I'm going to go this way, and then weave them in to the body. There we go. And circle back. And I can do the rest of the weaving in on the back. There we go. And while I'm at it, I'll get this little guy. There. Because we're using the top facing loops, no stitching shows through the back. I really like that. Makes for a nice, neat and tidy back of a square. So all the activities out front. All right, let's get his little mouth sewn on. So the little mouth is like the little short tail. You can weave the little short tail in across the back. So if you're looking, this is just a chained length of 7. So I like to weave my needle in underneath the 3rd loop of the chains of each chain. It's a little bump that kind of runs across the bottom, and then pull that little tail through. And that just gets that out of the way. Flip it back over. It will disappear. you're going to use the long tail for sewing. I like to kind of curve it to follow the second row of the main part of the square. So this was row 3, row 1, row 2, row 3. And I want to kind of curve it to follow. You can put it anywhere you want. You know, moving the smile around really changes the look of the face. I like it right here. So this is the bottom edge of row 2, kind of where it connects to row 1. So I'm not eclipsing the bottom of row 1. I'm kind of sewing it half along the top edge of, I should say I'm sewing it along the top of row 2 at the bottom edge where it connects to row 1. Because I'm talking in a circle, that looks confusing, but I think you can kind of see what I'm doing. So you want to curve it, put it where you want. Don't worry too much about the ends because they're going to be covered by your little cheeks. And then same thing, just grab a top loop and right through the edge of one of those chains, and kind of keep it in place. And you've got sort of an edge to follow. So you can just kind of grab loops of each of the stitches that run on that little curve. But same thing, get a few stitches in and then pause, make sure it's not moving on you. You can kind of tighten up those stitches a little bit. And all the way out the other side. And then I'm going to turn around and come back down on the other side of the chain because I really want that mouth to sort of not move around on me. There we go. So that's the top edge, nice and neatly stitched down. And now I'm going to just turn around and go back across the bottom edge. Same thing, I'm just grabbing kind of loops directly underneath it. It's the sort of the top, or it's the top loops of that second row. And I'm going to grab whatever loop kind of makes this stitching look a little less, I don't want the stitching to be overpowering, but I don't mind if it's seen either because it does add a little bit of like, that's the little, there we go. It adds a little bit of weight to the mouth. So I'm grabbing the chain. I'm not stitching too tightly because I'm going around the outside or the concave part, so the part that sticks outward. This is the convex part, the part that's curved on the inside of the curve, the concave part. I think I've got that right, concave and convex. Correct me if I'm wrong there, everybody. Then when you get all the way back up to the top, just make a little knot at the side. Knitter's Pride, that's another set, yes. Knitter's Pride makes them 2. Thank you, Mayla. All right, and I'm just weaving it in a little tiny bit. I don't need much yarn tail. I'm going to just snip that right there. All right, that's the mouth on, and now we've got 2 cheeks. And the cheeks are easy. They just sort of eclipse the top edge of the mouth. So they make the mouth a little bit smaller, but they also hide any mess that you may have if you had trouble kind of with the top edges or the curves, the top curves. You just want to sort of stitch them down right over top of the top edge of the mouth. But again, you can put them anywhere you want. Maybe you like the way your mouth looks and you want to have them sort of slightly separated. You want them sort of little dots just underneath the eyes. That's kind of cute. They can end a little bit more up the edge of the mouth. You can do whatever you want. So I'm going to hold this right here because I write that kind of on the edge, the top edge. And then because it's that small, I'm just going to hold it in place while I stitch around the outside. Again, I'm using the top facing loops of the square beneath it. And one of those loops will probably be the smile because it does go over top of the smile a little bit. So like for example, that right there. And then grab this little loop right here. There we go. I might just tighten that up a little bit. There we go. And one more. Make a little knot. You'll see me constantly pausing and like kind of stretching out the square or the picture or like the little piece that I'm working on, because I feel like that is a big part of crocheting. Sometimes people make something and they go, it's a funny shape, it doesn't work out right. And I'm like, well, did you block it? Did you stretch it? Are you kind of stretching it and kind of manipulating it as you crochet? Because that is part of it. It also helps you see maybe where you've got some tension issues. It helps you see if, oh, maybe I didn't stitch that in the right place, or this doesn't look right. Oh, wait, no, it is right. But I just have to sort of shape it back up into the right position. Things move on you, right? So don't be afraid to like be rough with what you're crocheting, because when you do finally block it or stitch it into its final project, you know, it'll change shape again. So don't be afraid to kind of play with it, because you want to make sure that it's got the right shape as you work. So I'm always reshaping as I go. There we go. One more. He's blushing. He's very, very happy to be here today, and he's happy that you're all here with us. Frogs are so cute. They're such a unique little thing. All right. So I don't want that to move. So I'm going to hold it in place with my thumb. And I'm going to stitch it to the side, kind of over top of the mouth. Reposition, make sure nothing's moved. I'm going to use that loop. Some stitches can be tighter, some stitches can be looser. There we go. Pull it out once more. Yep, that looks good to me. So I'm just going to give a little knot here to the edge. Weave the tail in a small amount and trim any excess. All right. And squaring it up. I always like to do this, even if I'm actually going to block them later. Now, I don't typically block my squares until they're all assembled into the project that I'm going to put them in, because I find that typically when I'm stitching things together, they end up getting pulled into the right position or maybe squished into the right position. But afterwards, when I'm done the entire project, I always block it. So I don't bother unless there's something crazy wrong with the tension. Like for example, when I was making the Tunisian calendar blanket, the totally Tunisian calendar blanket, some stitches are way tighter than others. And so in order to get it to them all to kind of sit comfortably with each other while I was laying it out for the final assembly, some of them needed to be blocked. I needed to block them up to be bigger so that they would sit comfortably for layout. And it also helps sometimes make joining them a lot easier. But you do not have to block your squares until you've got them all together. That's generally what I do. And there we go. Anna says, I was thinking that maybe if you don't like the look of the circles, you can embroider lines like in Japanese anime when someone is blushing. Yes, absolutely. Little like those little straight lines. It kind of looks like a little bit cartoony. Of course, you can embroider. You can absolutely embroider. You can embroider a mouth. You could embroider the cheeks. The reason I like the little tiny appliques, I know it's a little more time consuming, is that when you flip it over, because you're sewing them on, there's nothing showing, there's no stitching showing through to the back. So if this is a blanket, when you flip it over, you're not sort of seeing any stitching. If you're going to line it, it totally doesn't matter. If you're going to use these squares for something else, like a purse that's going to get lined, and I'm actually thinking these might wind up in a little purse. I might make a purse. I might make a purse with a pretty little lining. I think I even have frog fabric. Oh, that would be so cute. Yeah, that might be what's happening with these little guys. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, if you're going to line them and the backing doesn't matter, first of all, then sewing on your applique, you can sew them on as messily as you want. You can applique, you can do embroidery, you can do as much, whatever you want, because the back's not going to show, is my point. So yeah, decorating is really up to you, and it depends on the pattern you're going to use it for. Okay. So there we go, my darlings. That is our little 6-inch Froggy granny square. What a cute little dude. It's going to be up in our shop as the sneaky sale for today all day long. So please feel free to avail yourself of that if you haven't already. And if you want the copy, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoyed making this little guy along with us. We've got some other cute little miniature sort of, well, I say miniature, but 6 inches really isn't that miniature. I've got other sweet little 6-inch granny squares in this style, in this little collection that we're going to be bringing to you over the next few Mondays. So like I said, we did the little flower a couple weeks ago. I've got 3 of these now. I just love this. And today we did the little Froggy, and they're all designed to fit together. So if you were going to interchange them all or make a sort of design a cute little blanket or a project or something, we've got several in the series, and I've got more coming. I've got them all sitting on the drawing board. Boy, they're like somebody mentioned earlier, there's not enough days or not enough hours in a day. There really aren't to do all the things I want to do. But they're all designed to kind of sit together. This would make a really cute water lily looking thing. So if you wanted to mix frogs and water lilies together, that would be a cute little motif plan. But yeah, more of these coming soon. And I hope you all enjoyed making that along with me today. They are fun. Little squares are cute. They're great scrap busters. So if you're never sure what to do with some of your leftover yarns, little 6-inch cutie grannies are great. Remember, you can always turn them. 2 of them make a gift bag. And if that isn't the prettiest little Mother's Day gift bag, I don't know what is. You got a little girl in your life, you know, one of these plus a solid one, if you didn't want to make 2 identical, a super cute little bag or a little miniature purse. You could always add a simple little bit of lining. The sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. That's why I love grannies. I love modular little motifs because they can be turned into so many things. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you all have had a beautiful weekend and you're looking forward to beautiful days ahead. It's May. It's the best month of the year, let's face it. I love this month. Hopefully it will be sweet and lovely. It'll be the perfect temperature for you wherever you are, and it'll be full of creativity and fun ideas and lots of inspiration. Stay tuned to our posts tab. We have information, inspiration, and all sorts of good pictures coming all the time, and hopefully a few more fun posts this week, and we'll see you Friday. So until then, stay safe, stay crafty, have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.